I'm here to talk to you about the federal legalization of cannabis. Now, the federal is the key word. I don't want it to be legalized state by state. I want it to be legalized on a federal level, leaving communities, states, and counties the option to have like the equivalency of like a dry county in terms of alcohol. Now, I'm also going to tell you guys about the medical benefits, which can range from like something as simple as nausea to something as extreme as cancer. And I'm also going to talk to you guys about the economic benefits, which are already being a prevalent part of our state and federal economy. This is cannabis. This is a picture of cannabis. It's a cannabis plant. It's clearly harvested. And you can see like the 5-pronged leaves and the buds and whatnot. It's just I bet most of y'all are familiar with the image. Now, what is a cannabinoid? A cannabinoid is anything to do with delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol. That means anything to come from the cannabis plant. That's just basically it. You have two main components inside this. You have THC, tetrahydrocannabinol, and then you have CBD, cannabidiol, which THC aids with appetite, nausea, like relative discomfort and pain, and it's also the psychoactive portion of cannabis. It's the part that gets you high, euphoric, whatnot. CBD has no psychedelic effects. That means you can take it and not feel high, you won't feel weird. You might feel calm, you might feel more relaxed, but you won't feel high. And this also helps with pain, inflammation, swelling, and can even help with epileptic seizures. Now, the reason you don't see cannabis, medical cannabis everywhere is because we're lacking one thing: FDA. FDA approval is crucial when it comes to food and drugs in the United States. And cannabis research is really hard to come by because to the federal government, cannabis is still a Schedule I drug. That means it is still up there with the worst of the worst. It is up with like heroin and cocaine, and it's really, they think is really bad for you. It has no medical benefits whatsoever, which I disagree with personally. Federal funding is just super sparse because of the Schedule I and because and it has to prove its medical useness to not become a Schedule I drug. Now, when it comes to forms of consumption, you don't just have to smoke cannabis. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. You have edibles, which can range as far from like gummy bears to full-blown pizzas. You can have ointments, which you can just rub on your skin and it'll absorb through your skin. You have capsules, you can just like take a pill, pop it and be done. And new to me, tincture, where you can just take a vial, get a drop out of it, put it under your tongue, and you're good, which is pretty cool. And of course you always have vaporizing and smoking, which are two of the most common. Now, what do these treat? This can treat a lot of different things. Cancer, for one. According to drugabuse.org, animal studies have shown that marijuana extracts may help kill certain cancer cells, which is a huge medical benefit, in my opinion. Schedule I disagrees somehow, but oh well. It also helps with epilepsy, multiple sclerosis, glaucoma, and PTSD. A lot of soldiers that have returned home have attested to the fact that cannabis has helped them with their anxiety and that still in combat feeling. Now, kind of side effects of this: opiate prescriptions and opiate rehabilitations in states where cannabis has been legalized medically have gone down, which is a good thing. Opiates are definitely harder and definitely more addictive drug than cannabis. With over 1 million legal medical users here, there's going to be quite a bit of a market for cannabis now, which leads to the next point: the economical benefits. Pound for pound, it is the highest earning crop in America. That's huge. That's better than tobacco, wheat, corn, all of them. And according to thinkprogress.org, Colorado alone, just Colorado, has gained $2.4 billion to their economy and over 18,000 jobs, all thanks to the cannabis industry, which is a huge, huge benefit to a state economy. That's massive. Now, and with a return rate of almost $2.50 for every dollar you put into the cannabis industry, it's got one of the highest return rates of any industry in the United States. Any. Like cars, all that. It's got a huge return rate. And that makes the future possibilities for this almost endless. There's so many products you can use with cannabis. I'll talk to you guys about that in a second. Hemp is a very widely usable product. You can have and with this huge effect, since our economy does have such a global effect, if we legalize this federally, it could lead to other countries like Spain, who's already legalized it recreationally, to join us in our cannabis industry. Now, some of the indirect benefits are going to be pretty prevalent as well. Every year we spend $13.7 billion just on cannabis prohibition alone. I'm not going to say we'll take it out completely, but it will be vastly, vastly reduced. Hundreds of millions are spent in incarcerating criminals with nonviolent, low possession charges. That means people who are picked up with an eighth of weed on the street. All these people, hundreds of thousands of them, will no longer be arrested because it won't be illegal. That means millions of American families won't have to deal with the stress, the hardships of having a loved one or a friend locked up. Now, a lot of people are going to ask me, Kelson, why would you want to mainstream a drug in the U.S. economy? Now, I'm not knocking on anything here, y'all. Alcohol's wonderful, but alcohol is one of 2 common substances in the United States besides heroin that can actually kill you from withdrawals. If you drink too much and too hard, you can die just from going cold turkey. Cannabis, on the other hand, you have a 2 to 5 day period where you have lack of sleep, lack of hunger, and that's about it. According to the National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, in 2010 alone, alcohol misuse cost the U.S. $249 billion. That is 10 times the amount that you have for cannabis prohibition every year. And to put a comparison to that, cannabis, with its current $7.1 billion national market, is projected in 2020 to reach $44 billion, which is almost doubling their profits every year. And for an industry on that level, that's a huge, huge raise. Now, one of the main parts that's going to help raise this cannabis is hemp. Hemp is a fiber that can be taken from the cannabis stalk. It can be crafted and produced into things like skin ointment, oils, clothes, and most notably, paper. I could do a whole other project on how paper and tobacco, I've been pushing down the cannabis and hemp communities for decades, but that's a whole other project in itself. Now, hemp is considered illegal in a lot of places just because of the trace amounts of THC it has in it. Now, it is legal in more places than its cannabinoid cousins, which leads to my last point, the federal and state controversy right now that's been going on. Oh. In 1996, Dennis Peron and Jack Herrera legalized cannabis in California legally for the first time. Ever since then, the raids on dispensaries have been common every year. These aren't just back alley drug dealers. These are people who have businesses, loans, they have the proper, they have all their forms written out, leases on rented places. These are real businesses that are being raided like trap houses. Now, the reason this is happening is because there's a butane law that is originally, created to try and stop the production of meth. And it uses butane to stop, you can't use butane to create solventless solutions when it comes to cooking. And butane is used heavily in the production of solventless cannabinoids. In an LA Weekly article, Michael Chernis, a longtime cannabis lawyer, said, "Is it really worth it to send 10 guys in riot gear when somebody didn't put a piece of paper on the wall?" This isn't just in California, this is everywhere where cannabis has been legalized. Places like Michigan and Colorado, people are getting raided and all their products are getting seized. People are being forced to post jail time, fines. It's a pretty serious matter. Now, I bet a lot of y'all heard about California wildfires. A lot of businesses, farms, homes got damaged in the wildfires recently out in California. Among those, cannabis farms. And the big difference between those two is that cannabis farms don't have access to insurance, loans, mortgages to help rebuild after these fires have destroyed all their things. So these people are left out to dry and don't have any options to try and rebuild. Now, Prop D was the original effort to try and protect these dispensaries. It was enacted in about 2013, and it protected a small group, about 130 dispensaries in California, after following a strict set of rules and guidelines that made business honestly hard to run. Now, Measure M was just introduced this year and gives a much wider sphere of protection, but it also adds a lot more strict guidelines, to the point where it actually makes cannabis businesses hard to procure products and plants for their business. With retail cannabis about to hit the markets in California, it's really making the cannabis industry and community really nervous. Now, cannabis isn't just the stereotypes that people made it out to be. It's a lot of people who just smoke recreationally on the weekends like you would drink alcohol. And getting on the same page is crucial. We have to have a set of rules and guidelines to stop these almost criminal raids from happening on people who are running legitimate businesses and legitimate operations. I've already told you also about the medical and the economical benefits, and it's pretty fun. I hope I've changed a few of y'all's minds.